You gotta stand like this. I think the phone photo.
Tell me when we're ready. We're ready? Okay. First, I'd like to thank you all for coming here today. Today is a very important day that myself and my office have been looking forward to. As most of you are aware, the grand jury came out with an interim report yesterday, and they have cleared my office, myself and my assistants of any criminal acts. And although we knew we were innocent, we had to let the justice system work, and it did, and we're very proud of that. Before we get really started and I start talking about the facts, there have been some people who have been inquiring, and I want to set the record straight on some things. My home was, we had an explosive put into my mailbox yesterday at my personal home, which exploded my mailbox and all my mail inside. I don't take that as a random act. I do take it as a threat to myself and to my family. It is being investigated by the U.S. Postal Service, and I also have my investigators on it. So I take that to heart. My children live there. In fact, my kids typically get the mail. Thank goodness they didn't yesterday, and thank goodness it had already detonated before our postal carrier opened my mailbox, but they were the ones that notified it. So there's been a lot of rumor that there was a bomb sent to the office, things of that nature. That is not true, but I do believe that my personal home was attacked yesterday, and I take great offense to that, and I'm very alarmed by it. Getting into the grand jury, I reached out to several members of law enforcement this morning, and I told them that I'm sure you have read the grand jury. Some haven't, some have not. And I said, it's time that we continue to work together. We need to put this behind us. And I explained to both the chief and the sheriff here in Rogers County that the perception that there's been a dysfunction amongst law enforcement in our office needs to be put to bed. Because the reality has been, even with all of the allegations and all of the different attacks upon myself and my office, we haven't skipped a beat. Cases have not been delayed. Trials have not been delayed. We have been working very diligently with law enforcement. They are in our offices all the time. They call us, and we are going to continue to do that. That is what we have always done, and that's what I want to continue to do. So we need to start moving forward and clear the perception so the public of our district understands that our office and law enforcement have been working for them, and we will continue to do so. Just so some of you who do not understand what has gone on, there was over 20 allegations of criminal offenses that were alleged against myself and my office. The Attorney General's office has cleared us of that, and I thank them for diligently looking at the evidence and realizing what they had did not rise to the probable cause standard that was needed. And hopefully now we can continue to do our job. The grand jury came about back in January of 2013. We had an officer who submitted an affidavit that we believed was inaccurate. It contained a confession on a young boy, but when we looked at the tape, we realized that we did not believe that the confession was there. And so as prosecutors, under the 14th Amendment and under our ethical obligations, we have to disclose that. Soon after that, my office was sued. We have had grand jury allegations. We have had bar complaints. The bar has cleared us. They have meticulously investigated our actions in this matter, and they have dismissed all allegations. So we did our job. We did it right. I've said it from the beginning, and I'm saying it now. I have great respect for law enforcement. I couldn't do this job without having that, but although we have the same goal with law enforcement and having a strong case, we do have separate roles. District Attorney's Office is a check and balance to law enforcement, and there's sometimes we have to make decisions that they don't agree with. But that is our duty, just as they have a duty to investigate cases, and sometimes we would like them to do certain things a little bit different, but that is their job, and we have a job to do. And we did our job, we did it zealously, and I am very proud of my staff, I'm very proud of our assistants. These attacks that were put upon us have truly affected us professionally. It was a smear campaign. It has affected our families, my staff, my assistants, and that is not something that we should have had to gone through, but we did. And we did it strong, we did it united, and I believe that we have been cleared and vindicated of all the charges. In the grand jury has laid out some, what I consider, statements of, you know, look, we need to work better together, and that's why I reached out to law enforcement today. But again, I want the public to know the perception is not the reality, and we have been working with law enforcement. There's no way that we can't. There's also been issues brought up about victims, and that they were concerned that sometimes victims aren't being taken care of, or maybe they are falling through the cracks. This is what I can tell you as a fact. When I came into office, there were minimal standards for victims. When I was an assistant DA, I actually helped develop the relationship with SafeNet to make sure offenders were getting the treatment that they needed and to make sure they were actually going. So I've always been very passionate about victims. Since I've taken office within the first year, I made cases where prosecutors handled a case from the beginning to the end. So that gave case responsibility. They knew the victim. The victim is dealing with one person. Additionally, I've dedicated a staff, a legal assistant to every prosecutor, so that assistant knows the case and the victim from beginning to end. Additionally, we have a third check to make sure victims are being taken care of, and that is with our victim witness coordinator. We have filed over 4,000 cases since I've been in office. That is just misdemeanors and felonies. That's not our deprived, our delinquent, and that's not the cases we've been taking care of that were from the previous administration. Is there always room for improvement? Absolutely. Am I open to any kind of constructive criticism? Absolutely. And whatever we can do to make the system better, we are going to do that. I will continue to do what I ethically have to do. At times I can have a case and I can have a defense attorney and law enforcement mad for the opposite reasons. Law enforcement thinks we're being too soft, and the defense attorney thinks we're being too hard. I mean, this is a hard business, and we have to do what we believe the justice calls for with the evidence that we have with that particular case. And we're going to continue to do that. I just think that with the grand jury coming back, I think that takes a lot of load off of my staff and myself, you know, to be put in our community with the allegations that were put out there. That was very hard, and we had to sit there and take it and wait for the grand jury, and they've come back and they've spoken. With that, Michelle, do you have any other?
No, I think we can open it up to a few questions if anyone has follow-up.
Okay.
At the end of the report, they called your relationship with law enforcement of Rogers County dysfunctional. They said it was alarming, a lack of respect and professionalism. That had to be, and still has to be, I know you talked about it briefly, but it's going to take a long time to mend those fences.
You know, I don't believe so. I mean, like I said, throughout this entire deal, even when the grand jury petition was going around locally and law enforcement was out there zealously advocating for it, they were in our office. They were in our office on the weekend as we were prepping them. They come into our office. So, you know, that perception, again, that we are not working with law enforcement, there's no way cases can move without us working with law enforcement. Now, are there some members that are not happy with some decisions we made? Yes. But, you know, our decision to disclose has been validated by the federal judge, who has stated that he also reviewed the affidavit and the video, and he also found it to be inaccurate. Additionally, we've had the bar who zealously investigated us. There was 2 investigators put on it, and they looked and scrutinized everything that we did, and they came back and found that we had committed no acts. So again, it's a perception out there. Are some not happy with me? Absolutely. But I can't control that. But our office is here to assist them as we always have been.
How does it feel?
While you've been cleared criminally, it kind of takes a hit on your character talking about lack of respect and overall professionalism.
Yes.
What do you have to say about those comments in this report?
You know, I'm human. I think everyone can do things, and there's times that you say, boy, I wish I didn't do that. But you name another district attorney or another situation where a district attorney has been put under such attack, to have such publicity on a grand jury petition being gone around, then the Attorney General steps in, then it's made public, we've had bar complaints put against us, then there is a media on an OSBI investigation. You know, you tell me how you would react. Yeah, are there times that upset me? Absolutely. I'm a human being. You know, this affected not only myself and my staff, but our families. My son was confronted at school and told that his mother was a liar and a fraud and that I was going to jail. You tell me as a mother or father how you're going to handle that. Yeah, you're right. Have I gotten upset? Yes, you're right. But I have done my job. I have stood up to it all. And I have not bowed to popularity. There are decisions that a district attorney has to make that is unpopular. And I did that. And that was unfortunate. It's not something I wanted to do, but we had to do it.
Do you feel you've acted unprofessionally or showed lack of respect to?
I have no doubt that there's times. You have to understand, you know, these allegations are with seasoned detectives, narcotics. They don't have the best language either. And sometimes, I mean, we are confrontational. We're litigators. We argue with defense attorneys in court. We can argue with judges. There's times when, you know, when I have to tell an officer, this is what you need to do to have a successful case, they don't like to hear that. I mean, when I immediately came into office, prior prosecutors that were here said, look, here are some of the problems that we're seeing. We need to strengthen our cases. I started to immediately meet with law enforcement. Most of them took it, yes, we're going to do that. Some of them, I'm not going to do that. Well, here we go. I will confront you on an issue to make our case the best case that we possibly can. Sure, there's not a doubt. I'm human. Have I been unprofessional? Could I have said some things I'd like to take back? Absolutely. Yes.
You talked about the allegations and how you were cleared of all things, but on page 18 of the report, they specifically mentioned the affidavit in the Giglio issue with Detective Singer. It says the conduct, District Attorney A's conduct in the making of her Giglio determination merits further comment. And that item's still open for investigation. Do you have any comment about that?
I don't. I mean, you would have to ask the grand jury. What I can tell you is this, is that the Bar Association looked into our conduct ethically, and if there was a problem with the way that we handled the Giglio disclosure, I would think that the Bar Association would be doing something about that. And also the Frizzell decision. Frizzell came back and said the affidavits were inaccurate, so therefore false statements, as the officer claimed that we made, cannot be said when the affidavits are inaccurate.
What does it feel like to be chastised by the grand jury?
You know, I mean, I don't think anyone likes to hear criticism, but this is a profession, we're adults. You know, there's not a handbook when you get this job. And, you know, I'm over 3 counties. I deal with 22 law enforcement agencies. The population I deal with is approximately 120 to 140,000. I'm open to any issues. I don't know how much the grand jury really got into the background of the issues. You know, I don't know how much they knew, if they understood when I made the disclosure. I was sued, you know, and then a grand jury was brought against me. I mean, I've truly felt that I've been on the defense of this for a very long time to do a job that I had to do and that my prosecutors had to do. But again, if anyone has any comments that could make our system and our office better, I'm very open to that. That's how I treat this office. This is like a law firm. We have many meetings with the staff, with the lawyers. Hey, how can we make this better? Everyone's input should be acknowledged.
Do you feel there's a good old boy network you're fighting against?
I mean, I definitely think there is a cell group of law enforcement, and, you know, I don't know if some of it has to do with me being a woman, because I can certainly tell you of heated conversations they've had with males in our office, and I didn't see that on the front page. But, you know, I'm going to confront. I am going to talk to officers and, you know, say, look, this is what we need. Because we have had some issues with cases that were very serious. And I have spoken to their bosses about it. I've spoken to the law enforcement about it. You know, I mean, when you don't go out to crime scenes, that's a big thing to me. That's going to bother me. When, you know, you don't talk to suspects or try to, that bothers me. But, you know, everyone being Monday quarterback is a very easy thing to do. And that's why we all need to sit down, and we have. They've actually asked throughout this, would you please come and give us some teaching, some education. And absolutely, I did that when I first took office, and we're going to continue to do that.
So it sounds like you've been stunned by the lack of professionalism on the enforcement side.
Well, I mean, you know, certainly I don't know of another DA who's had a grand jury in the media that's taken a hold of it such, and especially with the stories I've gotten from my local paper. Yeah, I mean, I've certainly been attacked, I do believe.
I know in the beginning it was kind of, with the big OSBI press conference, it's easy to pin it on the law enforcement, but there were also 7,000 citizen signatures on a petition.
Yes.
To put this into place.
You look at that petition, would you sign it with those allegations that were put there?
I have to stay on the fence.
You know? I mean, that's the deal. Look at the allegations that are in there, and that the grand jury has been looking at this since December of 2013, and they haven't found one of those allegations meet the probable cause. Okay? I mean, that anyone can make an allegation against anybody. We deal with that every day. That was a smear campaign.
Recently in a meeting you said that if law enforcement had a problem with you, that was basically their problem. With the findings of the grand jury, even though they've cleared you of any criminal wrongdoing, they've also made comments about behavior, unprofessional, bullying, efforts you made to go out of your way to make comments or to say things to officers about their behavior on their off-duty time. How do you plan on mending that relationship, and do you think it'll affect you in the upcoming primary?
What I said, Celicia, is that I don't have control over law enforcement that has issues with the decisions that I've made. I can't make them feel any better. That's something that they have to do. What I've continued to do is our office works with them. We answer their questions. We help if they have questions regarding an investigation to make sure that we have the strongest possible case that there is. I am the kind of person, as you know, because you and I have certainly, I've called you when I felt things were inaccurate. That's the way I am. Don't go around saying things, especially to my staff. I would never do that to a law enforcement officer. If you have an issue, come talk to me about it. That's just the kind of person I am. If we agree to disagree, fine. But they have certainly made comments about me that are even more rude than what I have. And when I do find that an officer has an issue with me, but yet they've been calling me on a regular basis at night on the weekends, come talk to me. And that's what I did. Come talk to me. What is the issue? Let's try to resolve it.
With regard to your mailbox explosion, are any law enforcement officials from Rogers County investigating that, or do you not trust them?
No, it's not that I don't trust law enforcement. I couldn't do the job that I do if I didn't trust law enforcement. I do have my investigators working on it along with the United States Postal Service.
But nobody from the sheriff's or the police department locally?
No, I live in Verdigris. I called my guys out immediately to handle it. It was actually the U.S. Postal Service that started it. They had trouble getting someone up here from Oklahoma City, so I just had my guys come out, get some evidence that they would need to help with their case.
With everything that's happened with this grand jury, and then you're getting threats, bombs in your mailbox, it's election year, does that make you question running again, or you're not backing down?
I'm not it's not a backing down. I believe character and integrity is what this position needs. And character to me is not what you do in front of people, it's what you do behind closed doors. And I've had to make some hard decisions. It's really easy to make an easy wrong. It's hard to make a hard right. And that's what I've done. And I've stood up to all this scrutiny. This is my community. My husband is 4th generation. For our name to be attacked the way that it was, to have those allegations made against the district attorney, I don't know if you can get much worse. But I have stood here because I know what I've done is right. And I'm here to protect the public. That is my job. I am a check and balance to law enforcement. I do not want this county ending up like Tulsa County, where they are paying out hundreds of thousands of dollars and people being released from prison because of different situations that have happened. I don't want that to happen on my watch.
I think we can probably have one more question if anyone has one. Is that good for everybody? Okay.
So are you really cleared of all right now since there are pending ones?
There is, they have 2 that are pending. One is with the EEOC. I don't know really, they can certainly look as much as they want. I'm represented by the Attorney General's office in that case, so I told him, go talk to my lawyer if you think that there are any criminal allegations there. I would think with being investigated for 6 months and as many witnesses that have been interviewed by OSBI. I mean, what did OSBI's affidavit say? 87 witnesses that they interviewed. And then the Attorney General's office had their own investigators on this, plus the Bar Association. I mean, they can investigate me as the day is long. I don't have any concerns with that. I don't know if it would rise to a criminal level, but they can certainly continue to look at it.
So you're cleared of some, but there are still 2.
As Celicia stated, they stated that they are keeping open the Giglio. I don't know what kind of crime would be with that. I think it's more of an editorial, but I would certainly defer to them if they have issues with the way I handled it. But again, like I said, we have been... the Bar Association has looked this over with a fine-tooth comb, and they would be the ones, if they felt we did anything wrong, they would certainly be taking action.
Are you taking any security measures at home? I mean, I would think that would put you pretty much on edge.
It certainly has, that is for sure. I mean, it is an ongoing investigation. We are reviewing surveillance and different things like that. I would like to state, if anyone has any information, to please either contact my investigators or the U.S. Postal Inspector, since it is an ongoing situation. As far as security, I would like to keep that, remained, since I do take that as a threat.
Do they know what it was, like a cherry bomb or something more sophisticated? They do believe they think they know what it is,
but I just don't want to release anything right now. They were able to find remnants of it. Yes. All right.
I think we'll go.
Thank you very much.